Hey, what's up, guys? Pete Alonso here from the New York Mets, and I'm here with Alfred. And I just want to say thank you so much to all you guys for listening to the Metropolitan Report. It's a really awesome show. You got some great insight on Mets baseball, and yeah, it's a great place where Mets baseball is talked about, and we got a lot of really fun stuff coming up this year. And a lot of really great things coming from this team in the clubhouse, and I'm really excited to keep the ball rolling. And it's been such a fun season, and I'm really thankful for everybody coming out to the ballpark and supporting us, and it's just been absolutely tremendous. So thank everybody for listening to the Metropolitan Report, and Alfred, keep doing your thing, and as always, LFGM.
Hey everybody, it's Alfred Barsar Jr. back with another Metropolitan Report. And before we begin today's edition of the report, I just want to remind everybody, if you like this show, if you like the content that we come out with on the regular, then please remember to go down below and hit that subscribe button, because you hit the subscribe button, you get a notification every time a new video goes live, whether it's a report short or a full episode of the Metropolitan Report. And again, if there's anything that I say that you like, you dislike, make sure you go in the comment section and sound off. And if you know any other Mets fans, especially ones that like podcasts, that like talk about the team, that if you like sports talk in general, send this to whoever you know. So I greatly appreciate it, and we appreciate all the love and support. Now, on today's edition of the Metropolitan Report, we're going to recap the four-game series the Mets had with the Washington Nationals. We're also going to look at some injury news, and we're going to look ahead to the Arizona Diamondbacks series that starts tonight. So, the Mets played four games against the Washington Nationals, and they split. And I said it on the last edition of the Metropolitan Report. This Washington Nationals team, with Dylan Cruz and James Wood and C.J. Abrams and all these young guys, granted, they're not a who's who of baseball talent. All young guys on this roster. And I said that they had the potential to be sneaky and to steal a game or two in this series. So the Mets did split with the Washington Nationals here. The Mets won. The Mets lost. Sorry, on Friday night. Very controversial game, especially with the triple play call that the first base umpire called when the Mets had runners on first and second with nobody out. That seemingly turned the game out of the Mets' favor. The Mets had to catch up from behind. They were able to tie the game, and then the Nationals happened to just walk it off. In the bottom of the ninth inning, C.J. Abrams scoring that winning run after Dylan Cruz hit a ground ball that bounced off Jeff McNeil's foot, trickled into the outfield, and the Nationals just scored the winning run. Saturday night, the Mets, they shut out the Nationals. They won a game 2-0 off the strength of Francisco Alvarez's two-run home run. That was the only offense in that entire game. That speaks for itself. Pitching was phenomenal in that game. The Mets, which one of their strengths has been all year, is the pitching staff. Clay Holmes, 5 innings in that game. Five scoreless innings, I should say. Only 4 hits. Struck out 2, but didn't walk anybody. Always a great sign. And the bullpen was actually pretty good in this game. Danny Young, who anytime he touches a mound, always is cause for concern. He scares me. But a scoreless inning from him, a scoreless inning from Reed Garrett, AJ Minter, who we'll talk about in a little bit, a third of an inning. Didn't walked one, struck out one. Max Kranick had 2/3, struck out one, and Edwin Diaz came on for the save, struck out the side in that inning. And then we get to Sunday's game, which upset a lot of Met fans. Sunday's game, the Mets were up 7-1, and you look at the box score, and it is very telling. The Mets were up 7-1 after 5 innings. Washington has a 5-run seventh, and then they walk it off in the ninth. The bullpen could not hold. Tyler McGill, for what it's worth, 6 1/3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. Again, is up 7-3. Jose Buto gave up 3 runs in 2/3 innings of work. Huascar Brazaban was perfect, only giving up a hit. And then Ryan Stanek just he let that game go. And for the second game in the series, the Nationals walk it off. Now, here's what I'll say. If you're up 7-1 after 5 innings, the game should be a lock. The Mets, they thought they had a win. They took their foot off the gas pedal. The offense simmered down after a hot start. And that was it. Bullpen just couldn't hold for whatever reason, and Washington came back and won a game that they should have lost. And the Mets offense, outside of 2 players in that game, everybody had at least a hit. Luis Torrens in that game, a multi-hit game. Mark Vientos multi-hit game. Juan Soto multi-hit game. Everybody else at least one hit. Lindor, Alonso, and Luis Angel Acuna all contributed, but it just was not enough. And I'm gonna circle back to this game in a second. And then yesterday's game was a bloodbath. I guess the Mets were very, very upset that they blew it the previous day, because yesterday the Mets win by a score of 19-5, ladies and gentlemen. 19-5. And this box score is just absolutely amazing. You want to look at the box score here. A lot of multi-hit games, and this game will be known as the Brandon Nimmo game. Brandon Nimmo, very impressive in this game. We got to talk about Brandon Nimmo for a second. Brandon Nimmo, in yesterday's 19-5 win against the Nationals, went 4 for 6. He homered twice, a 3-run home run and a grand slam. On top of it, he tied the Mets' single game RBI record that was held by Carlos Delgado, set back in 2006, with 9 RBIs in this game. That's some impressive stuff. Brandon Nimmo's not a guy who we've talked about on this show very much. Brandon Nimmo, a quiet start to the season. On the year, he's batting .218, but he does have 6 home run and 21 RBI. But Brandon Nimmo, if this is going to be the spark to get him going for the season, I am definitely okay with it. Brandon Nimmo, the longest tenured Met on this team, first made his first major league appearance with the Mets in 2016, and he's been a permanent fixture of the lineup ever since. Of course, Brandon Nimmo, now etched forever in Mets history, tying the single game RBI record with Carlos Delgado. And, Brandon Nimmo, for what it's worth, we've always said he got that extension prior to last season, and Nimmo has been a guy, always gives you 110%. He's the only guy that I've ever seen that runs full speed to first base after drawing a walk. Brandon Nimmo, a plus defender, speedy guy, a guy who's always going to give you 110% no matter what the situation is. And I was very happy to see Brandon Nimmo in this situation here. Yeah, he just had a heck of a game. And, and going forward, I expect big things out of Brandon Nimmo. Again, he's the longest tenured Met on this team. I wouldn't say he's the leader of the team. That's clearly Francisco Lindor. But he is one of those guys who's very important and integral in the clubhouse. It's been a bit of an adjustment period for Nimmo because he's been batting cleanup most of the season. He didn't bat cleanup here, as this lineup was a little bit different on this day. But yeah, Brandon Nimmo, he's been up and down the lineup. Traditionally, he's been a leadoff guy. Carlos Mendoza has tried him at cleanup. With Lindor moving to lead off permanently, which is a great spot for Lindor. He's such a spark plug. And then you have Soto, who usually bats second, Alonso third. But Brandon Nimmo, heck of an offensive explosion. And Brandon Nimmo, for a second, he looked very comfortable in these at bats. He looked very poised. And he was like a shark that smelled blood in the water here. Brandon Nimmo completely dominant over this Washington Nationals pitching staff on this particular day. And I guess Brandon Nimmo was fueled by the fact that the Mets blew that big time lead the previous day. I wouldn't even say that this Mets team needs a spark because the last two games they were full of offense. So say what you will, but Brandon Nimmo, I think this is great in the right direction here. But, with the positives always comes the negatives. This series is very weird because the Mets did not lack offense here. And they still split the series with Washington. You want to look at this series here. The Mets in the first game, they scored 4 runs. Granted, they won Saturday 2-0, low scoring game. But scoring 7 runs on Sunday and still losing, that's crazy to me. And then, of course, the 19-run output in yesterday's game. But the tail of the tape for why the Mets didn't win this series, 2 things. Shoddy defense and bad pitching out of the bullpen. Again, I'm going to give the Mets a pass for Friday because for those of you who didn't see it, that bogus triple play call from the first base umpire was just insane.
Winker popped up to the third baseman his first time up. That's the tying runs aboard with nobody out. And he pulls one right to low. He catches it in the air. It's going to be a triple play. That's a triple play. And the inning is over. Lowe caught the ball according to the first base umpire, Alfonso Marquez. Both Nimmo and Vientos took off. And it's a triple play unless somebody overrules it. It is not a reviewable play, whether a ball is caught or trapped on the infield. And Alfonso Marquez, the first base umpire, called it an out. But it hit the ground. So it was a bad call. But it's not a reviewable play.
For those of you who didn't see it, Mets had runners on first and second. Jesse Winker is up at the plate. Hits a ground ball to the first baseman. The first base umpire said the ball was caught. Upon looking at the replay, the ball hit the ground first, then went into the glove. Unfortunately, that play is not reviewable, which I don't understand how that play isn't reviewable. And here's my thing with Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball wants to implement ABS systems where you get robot umps. You could challenge balls and strikes. We saw it in spring training earlier this year. We have replay review for out and safe, but there's no replay review for a caught ball. The umpiring screwed the Mets here. The umpiring absolutely screwed the Mets in this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's an egregious mistake for a sport that wants to make everything perfect so we don't miss a call or mess anything up. That's just egregious. So we can argue if a man slides in the second, we can go back to the tape and look at it and talk about it and call up New York and see what they saw. Coming soon, if a batter feels strike 3 is ball 4, we can review it and see if it gets overturned. But we can't review if a ball hit the ground first. That doesn't make sense to me. How is that not reviewable? A play like that could shift the game, and it did shift the game on Friday. It's mind-boggling. Like Major League Baseball just has to do better. They have to do better. I don't understand. And this is not just a Mets issue. This is a MLB-wide issue. This is the first time I ever saw anything like that. Out and safe can be reviewed. Balls and strikes are going to be reviewed in the future, coming soon. So they say. But we can't review a caught ball? You know, these type of plays, whether they're called incorrectly or correctly, they have been able to shift the game. We just saw it on Friday. Why is that? For a sport that wants to get everything right, why is one particular type of play that's just as important, if not more, than an out and safe? I mean, technically, catching the ball before it hits the ground is out and safe too. Because if the ball hits the ground first, he's not out automatically. The base runner or the batter. MLB, you got to do better. You have to do better. Those plays should be reviewable. And I love this sport of baseball. I absolutely love the sport. But this is where we have to do better. They got to get this right. And I'm not just saying it because the team I root for and the team I cover got screwed due to the ineptitude of these umpires and the flaw in the rules. But they just got to do better. Absolutely just must do better. There's no excuse to miss that. Especially the first base umpire said that a ball that was hit to the first baseman was caught in the glove when it bounced in the ball. He's standing right there. So my question is, what are you looking at? Granted, everybody's entitled to make a mistake or a bad day, but that's egregious. You're right there. You are right there. So how do you miss that? I don't understand it. Major League Baseball, you gotta make a rule amendment. Rob Manfred has made all these changes. We're gonna put a runner to start on second base in extra innings to start innings after 9. We have a designated hitter in the National League now. We've increased the size of bases, but yet we can't review out safe calls on balls that were fielded. Catch or non-catch is not reviewable. Somebody please make that make sense. Rob Manfred needs to do better in that front. Mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling. No excuse. The fact that when they said on SNY that play was not reviewable, I, as a baseball fan, was thoroughly disappointed. Again, not because my team didn't get a break, but because it still shows that we have issues with this game of baseball. One last point I'll make before we move on to look at the Diamondback series. The Mets did win yesterday 19-5, but there was a point they were up 13-0, and one man was responsible for the 5 runs. Jose Urena was called up from Syracuse. Urena, the former Texas Ranger reliever. And Jose Urena was signed late in spring training, so he reported to camp in the beginning of March. Didn't have a good spring training whatsoever. And he had his first outing for this Mets team this season, and it did not go well at all. You want to look at his spring training this spring, he went 0-1 with an ERA of 10.38. Now, he made his first appearance yesterday, gave up 5 runs, had it in 3 innings, gave up 5 runs, has an ERA of 15. In a game, and I get it. 7 hits, 5 runs. 5 of those runs were accounted for by 2 homers. And again, I get it. He was credited with the save, by the way, because he pitched a complete 3 innings, but I get it was garbage time. The game was well out of reach. But when you were up by a significant amount of runs the previous day and the opposing team came back to walk it off on you, and the way this Mets offense was playing yesterday, as if they were on a revenge tour, kind of gives you the idea that, okay, maybe the Mets are more locked in, they're more focused here, but he was the only pitcher of record to give up a run in that game yesterday and gave up 5 of them. Again, I get that it's garbage time. This guy's first appearance. You need to have an arm out there. You don't want to go deep into your bullpen because you don't want to blow any arms that you will need because the Mets don't have an off day for a little bit. So they let Urena get the 3 inning save. He got the save by default because by the rule book, if a reliever pitches the last 3 full innings of a game, he gets the save. But to allow 5 runs in garbage time to a team that's been demoralized, because any team down 13 runs in the seventh going into the 7th inning is not gonna. They're worried about just getting back to their hotel room, what they're gonna eat for dinner that night. And Urena comes out here and lays an egg. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I've never been the biggest Jose Urena fan. Again, when the Mets signed Urena, I didn't get it. Urena has been a guy, veteran, yeah. Career ERA of 4.80. Win-loss record, a lot to be desired. Lifetime 44-77. But I'm going to give this guy a couple of more opportunities, but every time that he will take the mound, I'm going to be a bit nervous in what I'm about to see because allowing 5 runs in a garbage mop-up situation, not good. I got to see better out of Jose Urena, and the reason why Urena is here is because AJ Minter has gone on the injured list. Minter, he has a lat strain, so this lat strain that AJ Minter has created a need, and Urena is up in his place. Minter's on the 15-day injured list. He suffered that lat strain on Saturday, exited the game early. This is an injury that Minter has never dealt with before. Luckily, it's not his triceps that he had surgery on previously. Minter had felt some discomfort a few pitches into his appearance on Saturday. He threw his final pitch in an appearance against James Wood, and his lat just felt tight, and they pulled him from the game. Again, he's on the 15-day injured list. Had left hip surgery this past offseason, so Minter's been banged up for a little while. But Minter will be gone. He's had 13 appearances so far this season with a 1.64 ERA. No earned runs allowed in his past 7 appearances. So Minter was looking good, but unfortunately has hit the injured list. He joins Paul Blackburn, Frankie Montas, and Sean Manaea as Met pitchers that are on the injured list. No timetable for his return. But again, AJ Minter with a lat strain, 15-day injured list. I would assume he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And Jose Urena was called up in his place. But I got to see more out of Urena. And hopefully a better production than what I saw yesterday, because as of right now, mop-up situation, no reason to have 5 runs allowed against a team that you're just pummeling and you've demoralized. But we'll see if Urena can bounce back from that awful outing, and we wish AJ Minter well. Moving ahead, this Mets team starts a 3-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. Game 1 of this series is tonight, 7:10 p.m. Game 2 tomorrow at 7:10 p.m. and then Thursday 1:10 p.m. Now, the pitching matchups for this series are as follows against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are a team they're above 500, sitting at 15-13 entering play today. The pitching matchup for tonight, Eduardo Rodriguez, who's 1-2 with a 4.40 ERA, goes up against David Peterson. And then, and see, Eduardo Rodriguez, he's been a longtime veteran. He's been somewhat of an up and down player for this Diamondbacks team over the years, but he's somebody that they have faith in, and rightfully so. So, but he's going up against David Peterson, who has been very good up until this point here. Nothing bad I can say about David Peterson. Peterson 1-1 with a 3.29 ERA so far this year. Tomorrow's game, Arizona sends out Corbin Burnes, who's 0-1 with a 4.05 ERA. Corbin Burnes was a high-profile pickup for the Diamondbacks this offseason. A lot of people said he was the best starting pitcher available in free agency this season, but he has not been playing like it. The Mets, as of this recording, have no named starter for the game tomorrow, so we don't know if it's going to be a bullpen game or what have you. So it's Corbin Burnes versus to be determined. And then in the series finale, Zach Gallen, he's 1-4 with a 5.57 ERA, goes up against Mets ace Kodai Senga, who's 3-1 with a 1.26 ERA. You look at the Diamondbacks lineup, and similar to Brandon Nimmo, Eugenio Suarez just recently had a 4-home-run game. Yeah, you heard that right, 4 homers in one game for this Diamondbacks team when they played the Braves so far this season, or this past weekend, I should say. But the Diamondbacks are going to be banged up. Ketel Marte will not be playing in this series. He's still hurt. Corbin Carroll has been hot. He's batting .308 with 9 home runs, 23 RBIs, and he is a stolen base threat. He has 5 on the year. So you cannot sleep on this Diamondback team. Pavin Smith batting .333. He's got 4 homers and 9 RBI. So this Diamondbacks team is very, very dangerous here. Even without their leader in Ketel Marte. So I do believe the Mets could take 2 out of 3 from this series. Again, the Mets coming into tonight are 20-9. They are the first team in the majors to 20 wins. Best record in all of MLB, up against the 15-13 Diamondbacks. But we will see what happens. We will be back. It's going to be a short turnaround. We'll be back on Friday morning with the next edition of the Metropolitan Report. And we will get you caught up to speed. Anything that happens between now and Friday morning. We'll be talking injury news. We're going to recap this series, and we're going to see what's going on. So, again, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Share this podcast with any Mets fans. And if there's anything I glanced over, anything you agree or disagree with, sound off in the comments. I'll see you Friday morning, and let's go Mets.